Good morning, Facebook fam. It's your girl, Neo Soul recording artist Lahla-Hadiya, back again for another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. How are you guys? I had some mommy duties this morning, so I apologize for the lateness, but I'm here. Y'all already doing it, but for those who don't know, I need to know that everything is all good and you guys are ready to get your day started. You are smiling and thanking God just for the opportunity to breathe another breath. So let me see those thumbs up, those hearts. I get it right this time. Those happy faces let me know that you guys are good and ready to get this topic together. Let's dig into it. But first, let me call the queen.
Good
Hey.
morning, good morning, good morning. Royalty is here.
I,
How,
I
how is
cannot.
everybody?
I should have
It's
known
a
better.
beautiful day in my neighborhood. It is so beautiful. I woke up feeling that it was beautiful outside.
Yes, and it's hot too. That's my kind of weather. I'm
Yeah,
good.
okay. I'm a winter baby, so I don't do the
I'm
hotness
I'm
too
I'm
well.
good. I am
Mm.
good. You understand?
How is everybody? I hope everybody's fine. I see that our fam is here this morning, bright and early.
Yes.
All right.
So yesterday, well, let me just preface by saying this for those of you who are newcomers. So we are in our fourth season of Morning Tea with Mommy, and I had promised that the fourth season, when we entered into it, would be a little deeper, a little more active than seasons 1 through 3. Seasons 1 through 3, the first season was like an introductory season, warming up to you guys, letting you know casually who I was and what I was about, and how aggressive I can be when it comes to the passion that I have for our people, our society, and just everyone in general. Um, just gaining knowledge and wisdom and moving differently so that we can get better results. And so, we talked about different things casually, nicely. But in season 2 and 3, we got a little deeper with it, touched here and there on, the state of the world today and just the marches and the situations that are taking place and how it's affecting us, our children, and society as a whole. And so, season 4, we're going to get to work. It's now time to find out and figure out and talk about and strategize what happens after the marches, what happens after the chants and the protest, because there are some people who understand that in an army, you have different departments, and so you have those who stay back and prepare for the ones on the front line to get them all patched up to go fight again. And so that is what we are doing right now for those who are good at that. We are putting some wisdom inside of them and us so that we can begin to get to the root of problems, um, identify what needs to be done to fix them, and then get to work so that we can change the narrative of where we are in society. So that's my little preamble. And so yesterday we talked about our children. We started with our babies, because that's the beginning of us. That's the beginning of our seed. And so we talked about just the public school system. And morning, my angels on here. We talked about the public school system. And so I did not want to uh, go back into this topic, necessarily talking about the same exact thing, rather kind of go deeper in it. So I'm still with our babies. And the topic for today, you've already read in my little long speech of mine, is what are some subjects that have been taken out of schools that should be put back in, and how would they benefit today's youth? With that question, I didn't want to put a whole paragraph for a topic, but with that question, I'm also looking to hear your take on some subjects that should be taken out, and subjects that were never included in school. So I want to hear from you guys. This is a interactive conversation, discussion. Like yesterday, we had a lot of good comments. And so I'm looking for us to be a little more interactive because I need some people to take notes. I got my notepad here, and because I'm serious. It's time to get to work. It's time to get to work. We can't just keep talking about what needs to be done, and nobody puts a foot
Mhm.
forward to move in that direction. So that's what we're doing. So let me see. Everybody's saying good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good
Good
morning. Good
morning.
morning.
Hey, Vanita. Miss Pamela, my angel's on here. Hey, Tarsa. Um, Kevin. Hey, what's going on? So, let's see. Miss Pamela says all vocational subjects. Yes, I agree. It is necessary, and I think where we are today, we talked about the shift in instructors rather than instructions. And so going from those veteran teachers to, I call them the new age teachers, and understanding what we also talked about as far as having that integration where they get a little bit of the old, that wisdom juice, with a little bit of new style modernization, and they're able to reach the children. And so if that is in place, then most certainly I would be confident in them putting back vocational subjects, because I would be confident that it would move, or it would go across smoothly, where it is more beneficial to our babies than not. So, yes. Vanita said, yesterday I mentioned the need for true Black history to give a sense of pride to our children. I agree. And you know what? I would even say to revamp what American history is, because American history, and I know this sounds kind of like a all lives matter versus Black lives matter, but American history encompasses every different race that has been affected by colonization, and so the truth just needs to be out. It is what it is. It's not about villainizing anyone, but that your history is what it is. If Black history was based on us being villains and coming and destroying nations, and our kings and queens, conquering things, then they'd be all for it. Let's tell them about themselves. They're they're savages, and so I believe that American history should be untouched as far as trying to water things down and make things look like this was for the greater good. Like good, bad, or indifferent, American history should be taught. And because we're a melting pot, you cannot have American history without talking about your blacks. You can't have American history without talking about your Asians. You can't have American history talking about your Mexicans, and so and your Native Americans. Like, all of that matters because they all were affected by this American society, and colonization and all of that. And so I really think that the real truth should be told. However it looks, it should be told, and not watered down. So
Absolutely true. Um, one of my favorite times in teaching was when I worked at a school where you had a melting pot of cultures. And something that I would do, I did had every student to, share a bit about their culture, their family, you know. Um, and from that, it was a spinoff of, I call it my UN class, because we talked about each of the different cultures. They had to come and share. In some cases, I even had some parents to come in and share some artifacts and things from their culture. And it makes it more, it made the class more of a amicable melting pot, where people learn to appreciate other people, you know, and that's truly where lives do matter in the eyes of Jesus. Lives do matter. So you can't get away from that. However, for the times and what is transpiring, and because America failed us as a people, as a Black people, um, they're going to have to make up for it by fixing it. So that's where we are at this point. What can we do?
Yeah.
And we got to be more, not just the talk, but the walk.
Yeah.
And so we've got to do what we got to do to fix this thing so that our children and their children and their children will know and appreciate, more so appreciate where they came from.
Yes,
And,
I agree. And
and
just like Miss Pamela said, Black history woven into history, not in a simply in
yes, yes.
February. You
Had
know
it
what I'm
been,
saying?
had it been, had it
Not just a month of okay, we get to
exactly,
recognize you. If you're
exactly.
going to, if that is going to be what it is, my idea for that would be you teach history as a whole, which means that you talk about each person's history
Everybody.
within that
Every,
history. And if you want to give a month to just highlight a particular group, to
mm,
recognize them. I remember, when I was in elementary school, my fourth grade teacher, she was amazing, a white woman, most beautiful person you would love to meet. And we actually celebrated each culture throughout the school year with her. We did something for a whole week, but it was we learned in her class about history as a whole, right? Maybe she
yeah,
wasn't supposed to do it, but she did it.
yeah.
And each week we were doing some type of project, and so I believe it was once a month we highlighted for a whole week a particular culture, and we
Absolutely.
celebrated them. We brought in their foods, or she brought in their foods. There were students that were in the class who were a part of that culture, so they were asked to bring in things. They were asked to bring in show and tell, so that we can get a real time, touch, tangible experience of their culture.
Hands on.
And so
Absolutely.
that was a beautiful thing to me. I loved it, and that's why I'm
I
so.
remember that teacher. She actually wrote you a note, a thank you note afterwards for remembering her. It was
Yes,
something you were doing. She
Miss
knew how to,
Haraway. Miss Haraway was her name.
yeah,
Miss
yeah.
Haraway.
She
And
is
I
a
mean,
person.
we did like the festivals that they would have. Like literally, that's what got me intrigued and interested. And so when I went to college, it took college because they ain't doing it in high school. When I went to college, in my sociology class, I experienced that all over again. Like we didn't do festivals and stuff like that, but we talked about all the different cultures, and we talked about how they all were affected from
That's real
this
time.
American colonization, and
Real time.
so it wasn't just about African Americans. We spent a lot of time there, but we also spent time with the Asians and how they came to be. We even talked about why it is that the Africans developed this disrespect or disregard rather for the African Americans because of the fact that things were done to their culture, and they fought to get separated back from that. And so the African Americans that they saw here that kind of conformed to some of the ways of the Caucasians here, they were disgruntled by. So like we learned so many different things. Like I understand now why certain cultures don't look you in your eye. And I think knowledge, like someone said on here, knowledge is power. If we hate what we don't understand. And so the same way we say that about people who look at African American culture, we have to also have that same respect, because there are certain cultures where it is disrespectful to look you in your eye. But because we are taught, you look a person in their eye, and then somebody gives you your change and they not looking at you, or the woman doesn't touch you and they put it on the table. Now, there are some people who use that to their advantage because there's some racial tendencies, or racism in there in
Again,
the
there's
mix.
some cultural
But there are
cultural
some
things.
cultural reasons why
Yeah.
people don't do that. And so if the more we understand, then the less we hate a situation, because now we begin to understand, and then you learn to respect that person and that culture, and then we can even have the doorway open, the tunnel open, to have them understand us more and to respect our culture. So I think
And
it's
it's back
necessary.
in slavery times where it was definitely uh, not permissible for a slave to look at the master in the eye. If you note, we call it shuffling. They were shuffling, and this kind of transcended through the ages, up through present. And for that reason, I know in my classes, I encourage my young men and young ladies to, give eye contact when you're talking with someone. Give them eye contact, that sort of thing. And the other thing is, culturally, there I had a student who was always spitting. It was always spitting. Where we see that as disrespectful. In some cultures, that's what they do. The spit. Is just a thing. So we have to learn to embrace our differences. We have to embrace our differences and embrace other cultures. That's a big giant step in us moving forward from here to where we need to be. Had America done what it should have done from the outset, we wouldn't have a need for a separate month or a separate week, which is what we started out with, separate day for Black history. It would have just been interwoven into the entire network of our history, American history. So it's one of those things where we gotta the walk has to match the talk. Now that we protested, now that we're with the rioting and all the
And
burnings
it
and
doesn't
so
say that the protesting should stop. It's just
no,
now
it's
you
not.
got to get in your sweet
Now
spot. You
what?
know what I'm
Now
saying? If you're not the
that's
one out there protesting, and maybe you are, and then you come back in, like, what other skill have you been blessed with to continue the movement? Because a movement is just what it is. A movement is not just you walking down the street with picket signs and doing chants. A movement is like, yo, we taking by force, like all different areas, like all corners of, the possibility of making change, moving in. You know what I'm saying? And how you move in, like you got people on the front line, you got people in the back that's patching them up, those that are speaking life into the ones that got to go on the front line so that they can build their encouragement up so they can continue to do the fighting for us. And then you got people that's the masterminds behind on the computers, getting to work, doing the research, knowing what we need to do. Yo, there's a community right here where, we're not in there. We need to be in there. Who's skilled in doing real estate? Do we have somebody that looks like us that's doing real estate? All right, we got a couple of buildings in there. We need us in there. You know what I'm saying? Somebody mentioned Black Wall Street. Yes, we absolutely need to build back up a Black Wall Street, and it needs to be everywhere. We need to be in, and it needs to be chains of it. You know what I'm saying? Like building a network where you have channels of people that look like you that are skilled, because we have them. We have some very successful African Americans out here in almost in every profession. We have so many successful Black Americans out here in professions that we've created because we just that successful. So there is no excuse why, if we want to see change, if those are the same people that sit behind a TV screen shaking their head like, dang, yeah, man, they need to let our people go. Yes. And they, doing all this behind the TV screen, but you hold the key to us rebuilding and changing the narrative of where we are. And it ain't on, like, you ain't even got to be the fighter that throw your fists. Like, some people fight with their words. Some people fight with their intellect, as far as like, yo, you throw hands, I'm gonna be back here letting you know, because I done calculated this fight. I done watched it 1,000 times, and so I'm the one that's like, yo, yeah, his left arm weak. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta walk in your purpose, and you gotta understand what that is. And so we talked about those lightly, and we're gonna get back into them. But I felt like the the computer of the operation needed to be talked about first, before we get into the, because it's so easy to be like, yeah, man, let's go out there and fight, throw some things around, mess some things up. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to do that. Especially when you got people that's really fighters and you can hide behind them and be throwing stuff. You seen that in some of them little stragglers that, try to be integrated in our real movements and protests, blowing stuff up and, whatever, because they can be hidden. They not that bold to do it out in the open. So you got that is easy to talk about. What is not easy to talk about and execute is how do we, on the other side of the fight, how do we begin to forcefully create change by walking in our sweet spot, walking in our purpose. Like, you ain't get that degree in law for nothing. You ain't get that degree, in teaching for nothing. So start with the babies. Like, this is what we pouring it into them. We pouring it into them so that when they leave here, when they leave our space, they know who they are. You know what I'm saying? They know that they're worth something. So they don't get out there and think that all they are worth is being on the corner selling dope, selling crack, killing each other for money to make it. Like, they already know they're worth more than that. So, like, those people who are skilled in teaching and motivating, get in your space. Get in your space. And so there's always somebody who's there's when you think of a movie, there's a creative director who sees the vision, right? And then there's actually the scene director who actually orchestrates the scenes. You know what I'm saying? They're like, this is like, this should be right here based on what you were saying. This should be right here in this scene. This is what they should do. And then you should have this character do blah, blah, blah. And so they're directing it. And then you have the people that are actually orchestrating it, right? So same thing in a movement, same thing. You got people who actually execute it. You got people who actually are the masterminds behind it, you know, so that we can get this thing going, so that we can create a change. Like, I'm about change. Like, I'm tired of, I literally the other day wrote a song. It's coming out. It's coming out, y'all. I wrote a song in like 5 minutes. I'm tired of marching and fighting and yelling and screaming and chanting. Like, Lord knows I'm tired. I need what, God, what is it that you need me to do? What space do you need me to be in? Am I not in the right spot? If I'm not, put me there. At this point, desperate times come for desperate measures. However it feel, pick me up and put me there, because I want to be properly positioned so that my people can prosper, so that my people have a chance to the promise that you gave all mankind, you know? And so I can't do that without letting that spill out to people that are connected to me. That's a part of our purpose. Some things are meant for you to share with the next man and the next man, because you can't infect the whole world. You need people, those are seeds. You need people branching out and blossoming everywhere. So that's where I'm at. Yes, I totally agree with the Black Wall Street. I need them to be educated on it so that we can effectively execute it. I
And
was just,
everybody has something that they do best, or that they can do. And I said many times, and I will continue to emphasize the fact that we have to hold ourselves accountable, not only the elected officials, speaking of which, excellent segue, but we have to tap into that part of it, our elected officials, those people, those persons we have put in office, and we are counting on them to do magnanimous things. But we have to continue. You can't just elect them and then walk away. You have to hold them accountable by staying with them, voting first off, and being aware of the people that you're putting in office. Okay. And with that, and then getting back to what we should teach, the things we should incorporate in our educational system, careers, just making our kids, our children, aware of the different possibilities. The sky's the limit. As I said, I prefaced with the statement, everybody has something they can do.
yeah.
And certainly we have to encourage our children to, go for the gusto, go for those things that they are good at, those things that are on the back shelf of their heart. They want to do, they think about, they dream about, but yet they have these insecurities. Nah, I can't do that. Encourage, with us doing the career day, we do the career day in most schools. But we have to take that a little further. Have those people from those various careers to come in and to mentor the children who are interested in those particular areas. So with Career Day, that is an excellent place to start. And not only Career Day, but we mentioned elections and voting. We need to somehow put that in the curriculum where our students are made aware of the voting process and what it takes, what is needed, to elect a president, what the president's real duties are, and
Mm-hmm.
the president's rights, And the more I listen to our current president, I'm like, in all my days, all my years, I have never, ever seen a president do the things that he's done without someone pulling him back or pulling his coattail. And so there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. But that's another area that we need to include in the learning process. This electoral system, the electoral votes, all of that stuff, each of the branches of government. We need to really, really, and not wait. I can understand teaching it at a point where students are, aware and they can understand it. But there's a way to do that as well. There's a way to do that. Don't wait until they're ready to get out into the real world, like graduating from high school, before we apprise them of the electoral system and what it takes and your part that you play in that. So that is a very important part. I know once upon a time we taught the what was it called? Sex education. They
Mm-hmm.
called it something else.
It was
But,
family
human,
life.
yeah, family life,
Family Life
family life.
Incorporated,
Yeah,
sex education.
absolutely,
You learn how to. They didn't touch some. I see a lot of people putting financial literacy, and so they. And I
definitely,
know
and
in my high school we touched on that because we talked about,
financial
we had
planning.
marriage. We had to get married. They held a
Yeah,
wedding in the
yeah. Had a
classroom. You were
baby,
married
had
to this
to,
person for that whole semester. They
you
did
had to
the
carry
whole
the baby
baby thing.
around.
They
Yes,
went
yes,
from you having to care for the egg, which signified like the delicacy of it. And
yes.
then they did that. Once they got more money, then we had actual babies that you had to care for. And then they
And that was
gave
really
you,
interesting.
when you, after you got married, once you walked away, she handed you a piece of paper. And so that showed, each one of us got the paper, and it showed us how much money we started with as a couple. And what house we bought and how much it cost. So we had to create a financial plan for our life.
Mhm.
And it talked about like our child. So our child was actually going to a private school or going to a public school. It was all written out. And so we had to come up, that was a part of the project. We had to come up with a plan, a family plan, to gear us towards success. And so that was the graded project at the end of that semester. And
Yeah, I
even down
actually
to
created.
like divorce, like, if the person you were married to was like not a go-getter and they weren't doing their work or whatever, and you was like, yo, I'm done, and you had an opportunity to split. And even with that, if you decided to split up, you had to still talk about how you guys integrated your single life with your single life in regards to like that child or whatever. And so it talked about that. And at the end, she talked about how difficult it was because it was to discourage those from thinking that, divorce was, okay. Like, you can get married because divorce is always an option. You know what I'm saying? Rather than, before you get married, make sure that all your ducks are in a row and this is the person that is truly meant for you, so that you don't have to go through that, because it's a lot to be
And
separate.
that was something I actually incorporated. I wrote in my curriculum um, for seventh graders. It was I guess life planning, where they had to. We didn't deal with the marriage and having children so far, but for themselves, stepping out into the real world, giving them a certain amount of money, and they had to budget, they had to plan for housing, for clothing, for food, for just life, period, you know. And I always felt that that is something that is much, and I still feel that is something that is much needed with our children. Many of our college students even come out of college not really understanding life as it deals with planning financially. So we definitely, that is a must to incorporate in the learning in the educational system.
Yes,
Uh,
shout out to Miss Shore. Miss Shore did that for us.
yes,
Miss
that is
Shore
a
was our
must.
was our health teacher.
Absolutely so.
But yeah,
So
and so I've seen a lot of people talk about, okay, somebody said we need to take out that new math. Absolutely. I need the busy work to go away. I'm sorry. I've tried as a I only taught for like a year, but as someone who, that was my focus, elementary education. Um I'm trying, I tried, but I don't get it. I don't get how to do it.
the
Um,
only
but I don't get the purpose. I don't get the
my
purpose of it.
my understanding of that, I understand, I get it. I get why. In fact, I'm hoping that I get
Well,
why
help me
they
because I'm lost.
incorporated that. I said, and a part of my philosophy of teaching is not teaching necessarily, not hammering on what to learn, but how to learn. And that starts out with having students to deal with their learning style, how to utilize their learning style to the max. And so with a lot of, because one of the another strategy that I often use, particularly in teaching math, was exploratory standpoint, and that was, you know, giving a problem and then giving a few minutes, having the students for a few minutes to explore and to see what they would do with that problem. Then you get into the teaching of, you know, strategy, how to tackle that particular problem. So with the new math, I try to justify, not them, but justify for myself, for my own knowledge. Okay, this is a way, maybe they're attempting to get students to think, to, you know, come out of their own creative juices to see how you would go about solving this problem. But a lot of it, and I remember when they first started, this county rather started that particular process as far as the math and the
To me, it's
sciences.
going back to first grade, the tens place, the hundreds place, the you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, like, and
I
it's
remember
like
when
we
they
going
started that.
backwards. It's like you're taking us backwards, and I
It
just
took a lot of, it took a
uh,
lot. Uh,
mm.
the students were becoming frustrated. The parents definitely were frustrated. And so, but yeah,
Well,
you know, go back to
I know. So I remember my oldest son. He was the one who first started because he was the oldest. Is that was the first time our family was introduced to something like that. So we went to the back to school night, and I'm a math guru. I love math, so I'm into it. Right, we sitting there and I'm listening to the teacher, and I'm like engaged because I really didn't understand. He was like, "Mom, this is stupid." He's telling his dad, "This is dumb. I don't get it." And so when I understood, I was like, "Oh, I understand." And then by the time Layla came up in it, I'm looking at it, I was like, yo, wait a minute. The reason why I understand is because that's what we did in first grade or kindergarten when you put the tens place, the hundreds place, the thousands place. Like, that's all they doing is carrying. I was like, nah, man. Like, I need, like, don't take her backwards. Like, I need them to move forward. Like, I need them to take those skills. So we're going to review that, and then now let's go to the big girl math, the big boy math. You know what I'm saying? And where we're thinking. I just think it's busy work. And because they have this whole thing now where um, they're trying to get away from doing homework, and so a lot of schools have adopted that, and that's public schools. A lot of schools have adopted that, and a lot of teachers have adopted that, where they've moved away from homework because they feel like one, It's not effective. A lot of them aren't getting the help that they need when they get home. And so everything is basically done on a classwork scale. So if you look at the rubric for the how they grade the students throughout the year, homework has a small percentage because some of them are moving away from it and some of them don't use it at all. I know my next to the youngest daughter, their school don't do homework at all. Everything is done in the classroom.
On an average, most kids don't do homework or they dread homework. And on the average, a lot of teachers dread having to grade homework. Um, Homework is the purpose, the real original purpose of homework is to revisit what has been taught in class and to practice and to make certain that you understand it. So when you do it, that's the only way it lets the teacher know, they have a grasp of it. They understand it. So that was the real original purpose for homework, was to practice and to make certain that students understand or not understand and take it from there. Many teachers use it as punishment. Many teachers some use it as reinforcement. But the original idea, yes, is to practice, is to make certain that students get that practice for what they learned in class. You don't just, because if you didn't practice, you wouldn't have a clue. You come back next day, it's like it's all gone. Mm-hmm. So that's the idea of homework. And then, but moving from there, as far as other things, I think we mentioned early on the home economics.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yes. Many a persons back in the day, in my era, who perfected meal planning and just coming up with recipes, being able to cook to survive, to survive by cooking, learning, and things that they learned from home economics class.
Yes.
And sewing, all of that stuff.
Technology,
those were
tech
the days. I'm telling you, those were the days.
Carving wood.
Yes. There was a group, and I always resented the fact because how they tracked kids. You either in the academic, the tech, or some other part. And I always wanted during that time it was either or, and I kind of envied the students who were getting that. Although I got it at home, but every student isn't privy to that. To have parents or relatives or neighbors or what have you to do those sort of things with you. So I always resented the fact that I wasn't able to do both. But yes, that's an area where our kids, I know, would benefit a lot of students. Everybody isn't cut out for college. Everybody is not cut out for college. Everybody, we would want them to, but that's ideally, that is not the case in every case. So we have to, prepare our kids for real life. Real life.
Yeah, I agree. Like we did, Vanita said, and I vaguely remember them calling it wood shop, but it was within tech ed. And so wood shop and metal shop, like we literally and we worked with the machinery, like that machinery that they really use, the saw, the electric saw. Like we were working with that. We had to go through. So before we even started making things, we had to go through the safety portion. We talked about, we had to break down what the machine was, what each thing did. So like literally a person could actually take it apart and put it back together. Like we literally talked about the actual machine itself before we even got into making things.
That's one of the areas that does still exist, or before I left the system, it did.
It's not in every, like I remember though it being in all the school. Like I went to
over at Crossland High School.
They do mechanics.
Craftsman incorporates the auto mechanics.
Yeah,
You have the guys who actually take apart and put together a car. They also in the county have a house built every year, and I'm pretty sure that those
yeah,
students are
yeah,
so missing that part. They displayed that house from foundation to finish. They built a house, and I always thought that was the most amazing thing. Those kids came out of it feeling so proud. Beauty shop, beauty shop.
beauty shop.
They
Look, my husband is a product of that. He used to now he used to skip class to go get his hair braided, but
yeah,
in New
I'm
York,
telling
I
you.
know they had that. Miss Pamela, you remember that? I know they had beauty shop there because he would go and he would go. Some he started out going
Yeah,
during lunch, and then he was like he got
exactly.
in good with them, and he would skip class go get his hair braided. But
And
yeah,
those kids are
stuff like
good.
that.
Those kids come out being, I mean, really, really perfect. In fact, the good thing is they came out with a license because that was a part of it. You know, you went through the class, they had to go through step by step.
Yeah.
And when they graduated with a certificate or license, whatever is required for those particular skills. Excellent, excellent thing to do. Excellent. One of the best things that the school system, has incorporated and kept in place.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are definitely areas that we need, to insist as parents. Again, we are our children's best advocates. We are their number one advocates and teach our children to advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
So one of the things I could not have existed in 40 years without my parents. I always created a strong parent group, and some whom I'm still friends with to this day. One parent I taught, in fact, there were several parents where I taught at least two or three of their children. And so that was one of the things that I really, really encouraged my parents when they came through my door. Make yourself visible, make
Yeah.
yourself heard. You are your child's best advocate. And teaching my children, that was the one thing I also encourage my students to advocate for themselves. Parents don't realize, some of them do. I know my daughter does, and my
I was
son
about to
loves that
say,
too.
hey,
That
what they say, I'm woke.
hey, you have more power, parents, than you could ever imagine
Hmm.
in the system, even in public schools. You have more power. And I have a situation and being transparent, and I have no cut cards. My grandchildren know this. I have no cut cards. Um, some of the people who are in the system who I've worked with, and we're on team together, teammates and so forth, on different projects. But then after they chose that direction to become administrators. As for me, I chose to be hands-on and working with my kids. And that was their choice to become administrators. Once they became administrators, and this is another topic we could probably deal with, and primarily females who move to that point, they become different people. And in this particular situation where this particular administrator came so different that she actually, you know, in the kids' language, turned down her nose at me. But as I told my daughter, you know what? I can deal with that as long as you stay on the money, as far as making certain that this administrator, this school, is in the best interest of our children. That's all that matters to me. You don't have to like me, you don't have to love me. I don't care, but just make certain that you are doing what you need to do to support my kids.
Right.
I said it,
I
and
said
think,
what I said. Go ahead and say your thing.
boom.
And I'm in agreement with that whole teaching your child to advocate for themselves. Like, so our oldest daughter is going to, um, she's going to a school of health science and teacher prep at PG Community College. Yes, I put that out there because I need y'all to look out for my baby. You in the area, anything go down, you better look out for the little Castro that go there. I'm on my way. Her dad is on his way, but I need y'all to be in the vicinity.
But doesn't understand, that's one of the places that grandma actually worked as well.
Yes,
I was on the
yes.
staff at Prince George's Community College. I plug community colleges, just like Joe Biden's wife, is an advocate for community colleges. I too advocate community colleges. Chances are, most times, kids waste the first 2 years of regular 4 year college. They waste that because they're partying, they're having a good time, they're trying to get adjusted. So with community college, you go through those 2 years, you get the basics of what you need to know. Then you're fed into the 4 year colleges where you can get the
Which is
actual.
what
Well,
she will be doing. So she's actually going to graduate high school with her high school diploma and her associate's degree. And
absolutely.
so what I was getting at though was she's looking through, was like, mommy, they said it's not really going to be like a real high school experience because there's certain things that we don't do. We can't compete with other schools as far as like sports and stuff like that. And so I said, well, why not? She was like, I don't know. And so I said, well, find out. She was like, well, they don't have like a student union. I said, so create one. You know what I'm saying? Like create one.
Absolutely.
Where you
Absolutely.
see a need and there is nothing there for that, you make it happen. You build that house. You build that atmosphere or that platform and that foundation. And so I said, write it up. Write it up now. So you go in there, you walk through the doors like, what? This is what I've been working on, which I got for me,
And the other thing too is, along with that, creating a partnership. And I'm pretty sure, and I know with Prince George's Community College, they partnered with the area high school. So whatever area high school, that would be a place for her to start, to go to those high schools and making certain that they are in partnership with the community college. And that's but because the other side of that is, because of where we are and the change in time, it's things are going to be, it's no going back to the way it used to be.
right.
uh, hey, so we have to press forward. We can't get stuck on, this is the way we did it,
Yeah.
and that's the one of the problems right now. As it is, people my age and older, we always did it this way. Okay, now we move forward. That's my take on that. You can't get stuck into an era where we did it this way. Times have changed. New innovations have come about, so we've got to embrace the changes. All change is not bad. We have to embrace it and move forward.
And
So
just
that's
like
one.
somebody talked about taking out, I don't know if let me go back to it because I don't want to misquote you. Um, all subjects that we had growing up in our time. Is that it? No, 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 that's not it. I know it is it. They get laptops that are teaching them fast learning. That's why they're adapting faster than we did. But their lessons that they're receiving is not hands-on skills. It's more online. Like how they're trying to get us to live computer technology, basically stopping humans from doing any work, just like in the movies. They're trying to see if computers and machines can take over, so we will be lost. Antoine, you
Like
always
Robot, the movie Robot. Yeah, there are
always
a lot of
taking us to
movies.
that
Yeah.
point. I love it. So this is my thing on these Chromebook thingies. Like I know we had computer technology in school, right? And so that was when we had those. It took like 10 minutes for the joint to load up, and you had the little disc that you put in there, and you take your disc home, and then you come back and when you had computer technology, you put your
Hey,
little
I can
disc
top that.
in,
We
and
How about
that was like a flash drive, but it was like a big old
the
square
punch
disc.
cards?
And I ain't, we ain't had that.
She doesn't know
You
about
mean
that,
back when they
Benita.
had the dinosaurs? It was
Benita, we had to school her on that.
we ain't had that. And that's probably what they doing to us. But these Chromebooks can be a good thing if they're not just haphazardly given out and say go home and do such and such and such. If they're actually working with them in class, and I know there are some teachers that do, um, that are working with them on how to effectively get what is necessary out of having that in your possession, and so that when they get home, um, they're able to continue that process. And then parents being a vital part of that partnership, so that when they're home, you can regulate that, you know. Um, I call her my sister. She looks like my twin. If you saw, you thought we was related. But
Yes.
she works during, the day. She's like one of those essential workers. So she doesn't have the luxury like my husband and I to actually work from home during this pandemic. So she's still actually, she's a truck driver. So she's still out there doing that. And so her daughter's home. She has this Chromebook, and it was a concern at first, like, yo, I'm not there. And I'm like, yo, pick up the phone. And then Auntie La gonna call. She's always texting us and stuff. So we gonna call. That's the village. You know what I'm saying? And so even if you're in a position, we talked about that, I believe, yesterday's segment, within that segment, about building your village. A village is necessary, but in building your village, you have to. My baby son taught me in Minecraft. You have to be very instrumental in what village you build, and you have to be strategic in what you put in your village. Because if you know that this is what you need to help assist in cultivating your child to be the best they can be, then you are instrumental in building your village. So those people that you have in the mix, when you're not in the vicinity and you can't physically be there, you have the confidence that they're going to instill in your children what you already are instilling, so they can continue that process, so that when you come back to the fold, you can jump back in and it's business as usual. Like, you have to start building your villages effectively. Not just, oh, that's my sis, that's my, everybody call everybody sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't throw that around lightly. Like, when you my sis, like when you my sister, like, it means something deep. So if I ever called you sis, understand, I'm a Leo, so that means something when I call you sis. So we can't just go around throwing that word around. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I call you sis, when that person becomes your fam, then, yo, at any given time they can put in that work. They can get connected into your village, because whatever they're about is something that you agree with and that you're about, and that you don't have a problem being around your children, and they can step in at any time and fill in the gaps. That's what it's about, yo. Like, we can't, like, this society right now, until it's a process. So until we get to the point where we all owning businesses, you know what I'm saying? We got people working for us, you know, you still have to face the reality of, like, the job that I have, the career that I have causes me to be out of the house, causes me to be out of the house more than I would like. And so I don't want my children to fall under just because I got to put in that work. So let me build a village to make sure, like, that's still parenting. That's still effective parenting. I need y'all to understand. Like, that's still effective parenting. So if you feel like, am I doing a good job as a parent because I got this person? Yo, being an effective parent is seeing the need and fitting the need, however that looks. If you can't be there, I know somebody that can, and they're going to do it just like I do it. So when you see them, you see me. And so there ain't no skating through that and finagling your way out of that. When you see them, that's just like mommy talking. Like, right now, the teacher that my 8-year-old has, when she sees her, it's like talking to mommy. So when she say, Lajane, put that toy away. Now we're not on free time. We're back on work time. Okay? Look at the smart board. When she sees her mom, because that's how I teach. That's how I communicate with Lajane. So, when we came home, it was not it wasn't like it wasn't that much of a shocker, to now have me being the one that was, picking up, the slack of her not being able to physically go to school, because it's like, yo, business as usual, boo. We still doing work. We still getting up. For a minute, she thought she was on summer vacay. But I was like, the computer's here. And then to see her teacher I said, we would talk before, they figured out what they were going to do with this distant learning. And I said, yo, make sure, I don't care if you do it with anybody else, but make sure you video my daughter. I need her to see you, because I need her to see that we're a team. I need her to see this is all a part of the plan, you know? And so that's what we need to begin to do as parents. Build your village. And if you have to tear it down and build it because you got some things in your village that aren't conducive to the success that you want for your children in your village, then tear it down and rebuild. You know what I'm saying? Tear it down and rebuild. The foundation is you, you know, and then you start to add those persons, those resources on that go along with what it is that you believe in and what it is that you want for your child. I think that's necessary. Um, Tamika, education is still so predominantly white. Our children need to see more people that look like them at the front of the classroom and not just pushing a broom. I get that. And so that's my thoughts on networking and having channels within those networks, you know. Like I just talked about this to a partner of ours, a new partner of ours that, you know, we were discussing some business plans or whatever, and it's necessary. Like I said earlier in this segment, there are so many successful black people in this society that there is no reason why we can't have our own colony. You know what I'm saying? Like we have somebody in every profession. We have somebody in professions that they don't even know about. You know, so it's not like we don't have that. So those people who have gone on, gotten their PhDs in education, and they are skilled and equipped to build those schools where they can fit it with people that look like us so our kids can see us at the beginning of the classroom. Yo, if you know somebody that's like that, tell them it's time to move. It's time to get that work because we are dying, and not just to the hands of the powers that be, not just to the hands of corrupted police officers, but we're dying to like knowledge. We're dying to opportunity. We're dying to success because we get what we get and then we just go on about our life like that was it. That was the whole purpose. That was the whole purpose of going through all them years of school just for you to live that one little life right here in your house, and that's it. You know, my kids got it. That's it. You know, and that's not the end. That wasn't the end. You know, that wasn't the period. There are people out here that God expected for you to reach because, again, I think in season 3, we talked about our purposes, right? And the ultimate purpose is to glorify Him. And how you glorify Him is by how you treat His people, how you treat His kids. And so we don't get the things that we get just to keep for ourselves. It's not about us. Because really, He controls everything that we've gotten, anything that you've gotten. You may think you got it on your own. Let me tell you, there is a creator that controls all and looks down on all and has everything carefully orchestrated before you even thought to go into that career path, before you even thought that you were the one that was making it happen. So if you think that way, you go ahead and think that way. But I know different. So if He controls all of that and He allows us to be in the places that we are, then there's no reason to hover over your plate. There's no reason to hover over it because He's the one that's supplying everything on it. So if He's the one supplying everything on it, you have no control over that anyway. So let it flow. Let people, hey, you hungry? Hey, because He's still going, like, yo, you got to empty the plate to get more. Nobody gonna keep piling on. So then you start passing out that knowledge, passing out, you know, the career paths that you've chosen, and you have a opportunity to teach someone else so that they can continue that legacy. Do it so that our kids can see more of us at the front of the class, you know, and do it effectively so that it's not just, yo, we just need to see us and you got some ill prepared person in the front of the class, and just because they look like us, we shouting Black Lives Matter and we shouting Black Power to the people, you know. Like, no, I need them to be properly equipped. And so that's where we come in our different facets of life, in our different successes. You know, how do we create a plan where now I'm successful in this field? How can I get somebody else that look like me to be as successful as I am? And then take it a step further. Like that's where I'm at with things. Like, yo, like let's okay, so who else interested in that? And that's why career days are necessary. When career days happen, you ain't gotta have a kid in that school. They look at like, trust me, and my mom, and I got some teachers on here. They're looking for people because it has fallen off. You got about 5 people sometimes in a school that come for career day, and they trying to like get them to each classroom because it's not enough. Yo, during career day, it should be kids that's like, dang, I wish I was over there. They had such and such. Like, it's so many people showing up for career day. Like, that's where, again, it starts in the soil with our seeds, right? It starts under the dirt with our seeds. In order to see those beautiful flowers, we got to start with the seeds, and we have to cultivate that. What are our seeds? Our babies. So that's where we start at. That's where we go into the schools and we bring all the different professions that they don't necessarily talk about, but that are absolutely necessary in society, so that our babies know that there is more to us than just, yo, graduating from high. As long as I get my diploma, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, there's more that you got hairdressers, you got, you got architects, and they look like us. Like, we should be flooding the school system with careers, like right into them. Hey, when is your career day? I got a group of people like, yo, I look, you only have to talk to me, but I can bring about 10 people to fill up that whole entire space. And then whoever you get to come in, hey, but you got to guarantee 10. Like, building networks like that where you have channels of people so that we can start to make this thing work, yo, and change the narrative of our society. I'm about getting that work. I'm that passionate, and I'm ready to do it. So, like, yeah, you want people that look like us in the front of the class, then let's come forward so we see what we have, so we can do that shift. We can make that shift happen. I'm on it. Let's do it. Matter of fact, hey, so like, yo, they're gonna do this virtual learning thing. We can do that too. Like, that's easy. You ain't even gotta leave out of the comfort of your office. So I start with the schools that my babies go to. See what it's looking like for the coming school year. See if they have a career day still. And if they don't know what that could look like virtually, let me tell you. I'll give you my idea. And I got about 10 people. We can do this. We can do a Zoom call. Have your kids log in. And then, hey, let them do it from home with their parents. Maybe their parents are looking for another career path to go into and tap into. So, like, yeah, let's do it. The village is so necessary. And when we combine our talents and resources, it's a powerful thing. So powerful. You know what my oldest daughter said yesterday? And we were trying to figure out where to do it, because, like, we going to do it. But she said, "Ma, you know, I see all the protesting and marching and stuff like that. And, they're intimidated by us, yes. But I wonder what message it would send if we did a silent protest." So, what you mean? She said, if it was just a group of us and we just walked, no chants, no singing, no calling out the names, say their names, just walked. And it was just our presence. Yo, that's deep. That's deep. And she was like, I want to be a part of that. Yo, I'm like, where can we do, babe? Where can we do this at? What spot is the most effective? Let's put it out there. Put the chain of communication out there. Let's get it done. Cause that, like, yo, just our, sometimes I posted something about moving in silence. Like, they don't know when or where to attack. When you move in silence, when you move in silence, and that's information for life. When you move in silence, people don't know where to attack you or when. They have no idea what you're thinking about. They have no. That's straight intimidating right there. Because I have no idea what you think. Imagine if you looked out your window, and let's just put it the other way around. Imagine if you looked out your window and it was like 100 white people walking down your street, and they ain't saying nothing. They just walking. They ain't looking at nobody. They ain't peering at you. They just walk. Yo, you be afraid. You be in there like, babe, where our weaponry at? You know what I'm saying? You be standing there on guard and just sitting there on the ready because you don't even know what to do, what they about to do. You know? Like, yo, yeah, I'm trying to do it. We gonna do it. We gonna do
Just
it.
taking
Exactly.
a
We definitely
second
need a
to
strong
call
village,
out
especially
one of
for
my
our
favorite people, Brandy. Thank you for joining us. Brandy is this fantastic, what do you call it, beauty culture. Uh, she enhances the beauty in people with doing their hair and just making you even more beautiful.
Hey.
So shout out to Brandy.
Hey Brandy.
Thanks for joining us.
Brandy, come join this movement.
Yes.
We doing a silent march. That's what we doing. As we go get everybody beautified. So we can do this silent
Hey,
march.
Ayana. Ayana's up and early and working and joining us. Thank you, Ayana. We're not going to tell anybody on your job that you're watching us, okay?
But yeah, yo, that's what I'm trying to do. So going back to this topic, right? What are some of the subjects? And we've talked about some pretty interesting things that bring back memories, actually pleasant memories of what we used to do and what made us the well-rounded people that we are today. You know, Vanita said something. She said that wood shop and metal shop was primarily for boys back then. I know by the time we got it, it was male and female in it. And the crazy thing is, a lot of them that went on to go to like Crossland High School, you had female mechanics. Like, you know, and they literally, like, so they actually have people that bring their cars there and they work on their cars. Like their classroom gets real life experience of working on a car, not just a little dummy car, like somebody's car that they're going to drive, you know, afterwards. Like I think that's necessary. Definitely financial literacy because that is important. We can do all of this, you know, go through education, and the purposes of doing that is to get a nice job or career. But once you get the money, what you gonna do with it? You know what I'm saying? And so financial literacy is absolutely necessary. How do we play Monopoly and win in real life? You know what I'm saying? How do we do that? And so in order to do that, that's one of the things that being a CFO for this nonprofit organization that assists with getting people who are borderline homeless jobs and getting uh, permanent housing and temporary housing, rapid rehousing, which is getting them geared up for um, moving into their own permanent space. And so the government would have grants, and that's where the whole grant writing piece came in, where I wrote grants, but this was my experiences of being able to write grants for nonprofit. And so the grant money was coming in to be able to help provide for them paying their rent, because we had a couple of there are a couple of people who own houses, and so we get them in those houses and then we're paying their rent, and then the purpose is to eventually have them become self-sufficient. And so as CFO, I'm like, uh, how are we getting them to become self sufficient? Because all we're doing is paying their rent, and each month what we contribute is less and less. We've helped them get a job. Okay, so they're working, and so all they know is they're supposed to have to at a certain time be able to pay more and more and more until they're the ones who are paying all of it. But what are we doing? What is in place that helps them budget the monies that they're getting? Okay, they got the job. And so how do we help them properly budget? And so that was where, like I tell my daughter, yo, if you see a need, you create it. So I created a class on finances, financial literacy, where we're talking about budgeting. We're talking about, okay, so what are your goals? So if your goal is to you have an opportunity to move into this space, and so I would say for you, because you have two children, let's just give you 2 years. You'll get 2 years in there. They give them 5, but I'll give you 2 years because you have children. So your goal is in 2 years, I need you in your own space. And so what does that look like? So now we got the job, right? And you're making this amount of money. Your children are school age. So you're not worrying about pampers and things like that. So what are the needs? So let's uncover the needs that require money so that we can properly take, this is what you make, these are your needs, your goal is down here in 2 years to be on your own and not have the government cut a check for you. Because the purpose is like, my purpose is not like, what they've implanted in our heads in society, that you stay on welfare and stay on it forever. Like the purpose is for, hey, sometimes we fall and sometimes we need assistance getting up. That's what that is. It helps you get up. And so once you get up, you release it. You don't need the training wheels no more, because now you're riding that bike on your own. And that's what I want you to get to. Riding that bicycle without those training wheels, that help, that crutch. And so what does that look like? Because if we give you a goal, you know what you're working with, and we know the financial needs, then now we can work on an effective budget for your life so that you can meet that goal. Because within these 2 years, money has to be put away. And so you have to know how much money you're able to put away. You have to account for any things that may come up, any emergencies that may come up, where you may have to pull out the kitty to take care of this and that. But for the most part, anything that their needs are, as far as like job training and stuff like that, we take care of. Like I'm cutting the check all the time, so I know we take care of it. So now it's about, now that you have this opportunity to have this cushion to help boost you back to where you need to be, then once you get there, I need it to be effective enough where you stay there. And not only do you stay there, but now you can reach out and help somebody else. And so financial literacy is absolutely necessary. We need to begin, and I think it should start, right after we teach them about money and what it is. What's a dime? What's the value of a quarter? You know what I'm saying? And then after that, we transition into, you know, the like investing and how that looks like. And so by the time they're getting ready to graduate from high school, they know that stuff. They know how to invest. Like my children, we talked about like owning the house and the need for black owned banks, because those banks and black owned banks that pour back into their communities, you know what I'm saying, pour back into their culture of people, so that we can continue to thrive. Like a lot of these banks that we go to right now, like you put in your money in there, and I'm teaching them literally, because I worked at a bank for 10 years. So I'm teaching them literally how that works. When you put in your money in there, and so they give you an interest rate that looks favorable because they want your money to stay there. Because what happens is, okay, as long as you keep your money here, we're giving you this interest rate on top of that. But now we have capital to be able to give loans. But who they giving loans to? It ain't us. It ain't our people. So you pouring money into a system that ain't even set up to help you to succeed. They just use it. They are capitalizing on what you have. And so now let's create an opportunity where we have black owned banks that are pouring back into the black community. So when I put my 100K in there, yes, you're going to give me a decent interest rate. And then when you take my 100K that's sitting in there, you're going to take that and give loans to my people so they can go out there and open these businesses that are in our communities, that employ our people, so that our babies have something to look forward to. That's financial literacy. That's investment. You know what I'm saying? Like by the time they in high school and they ready to graduate, they seeing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so that's, yeah, that too. I'm sorry. I get so emotional. It's so many things.
Not sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
I'm really not sorry. I'm just saying
Lord
that for those
Jesus,
people who
what did I
sincere.
birth?
I literally though, like the thing is, I'm a
Oh,
product of being exposed to a lot of different things. And so because of the way my brain works, I'm like, once I master one thing, I'm like, yeah, let me go back to that thing you was teaching me right there. And I want to master that too. And then after that, I want to master this too. And then after that, I want to master this too. So like, yo, I want to know, like, I want all the knowledge. Like in my prayers, I'm always asking for wisdom, because once I get it and I understand it, yo, I'm throwing that joint out in the atmosphere. Yo, I need you to get it. You get wisdom. You get wisdom. You like I'm like Oprah with knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I just want people. I want all people to win, but most importantly, we got to take care of our house. And so I want our people to win so that you can begin to be infectious on what success really looks like. What success really looks like. Because, yo, once we're secured and we're able to thrive, like, yo, I got enough for you too. You and your household that don't look like me. Let's get this thing together. Like we all can win. So, like, yeah, I'm just very passionate about it. The time says zero. I've been trying to be
I was
diligent,
trying
and
before I was about to say before our tech pulls the plug.
yeah,
I,
he be like all this editing and stuff. We be keeping him
I
up at
just
night.
want to leave you with this thought. I would just like to leave you with this thought that you're as strong as the weakest link. So in your village, if and I'm trusting and praying that everyone has a village. Um, in times like these, not just times like these, but always, there should be some backup. So remember that you're as strong as the weakest link. That means if when you get yours, you go back and pull the next person up rather than pushing them down. And if we do that as a village, we can't do anything but succeed and be strong. That's my take. I'm sticking with it. I love you guys with the love of the Lord.
To make out with you, man. I understand auto text is the devil. Like I got it there, I got it. Um, but yeah. So let and a lot of these I'm gonna this one right here is really my baby. Like I love knowledge and wisdom, and so I'm definitely going to go back throughout the day. I probably won't even respond to everything right away, because certain things I just want to consume it and make sure that, if it deserves a response from me, sometimes it just needs to be put out there and just let it soak in. But if it deserves a response, to let you know I hear you, I may just say that, say I'm listening. And so, because I like this right here, like I got six of them. And so this is very important to me, like working with those seeds, because I have six of them. And it's one thing to be able to properly prepare them for society, but in doing that, I have to understand where society is. And so that includes everybody else's kids too. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it don't make sense just for my kids to win. I need everybody kids winning. So, we not faced with so much adversity when they out there winning. Like they winning with y'all kids. You know what I'm saying? We all winning together. And so this is absolutely a great passion of mine, because I got investments involved. I have six beautiful, intelligent, talented investments involved, and it is so necessary that we get this right, and that we create an atmosphere for our babies, for our seeds to be successful. So that they can ultimately, like I said a couple segments ago, see their path to their purpose. You know what I'm saying? They can actually see it. If it's clouded with a whole bunch of mess, then it makes sense that they don't know what their purpose is. But we need to clear the way. We need to clear the path, so that when the time comes for them to step onto their own road, they can see it and get there, and it be a smooth transition. So that's what I'm about. I love you guys. He done reacted. He just put a heart. So that means I see you. He trying to be nice. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up so his editing isn't ridiculous. He's not up at night all night. So I love you. Y'all know Mama Lou loves you. It's just so much we couldn't cover. It's so necessary, and I don't know. I'm gonna just let the spirit move and figure out whether we need to revisit the seeds, and what else needs to be attached to that, so that we can get it right. Because that's what I'm about. He done put the eyeballs. Yeah, babe. We ended. He done put the eyeballs out there. Oh my God. The tech is mad. So Yeah, that's what we doing. And then check out 10:30 ish what the topic for tomorrow is going to be. So let's wrap up. Um,
Love you guys. Have a good one. Have a good, beautiful day on purpose.
and not just on purpose, but in purpose. I'm Lahla-Hadiya, neo soul recording artist, wrapping up another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. I hope this has been thought provoking, and I hope this doesn't stop here. That you guys continue with the thought process and then into the planning and let's execute. All of you guys that are on this feed, we have enough to build a network of people that can be instrumental in us creating an effective movement so that we can begin to rebuild and change the narrative of where we see ourselves as African Americans in this society. So that's it. That's all. Until next time, I love you. It's your girl. And I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 7:30.